John, it's a pleasure to have you again. So wonderful.
It's a pleasure to interview. The last interview did very well.
Thank you.
We'll see how we do this time.
It's one of the most loved and appreciated interviews I've done with you. And that was the last day of you as a CEO of Cisco.
Yes.
You were stepping down the next day, I think. So John, leadership is always an important question to ask, especially with people like you. It's very rare that I get the opportunity. I want to start with the book that you wrote, Connecting the Dots.
Yes.
And it also reflects about leadership.
Yes.
And leadership is very varied. So when you are here and trying to address especially the India-focused audience, how would you define leadership to actually empower and take the young generation of India to the next level?
Well, one of the reasons I wrote the book, and I originally thought books were something you get written about you once you're dead. And I realized that book really is not how do you teach lessons from the past, but how do you teach all what I've learned and how it's going to relate to a startup world and a digital world in the future. And I love to teach. And so what you do is share what are the opportunities for the future, not reflections on the past, and to do that in a book in chapters where each chapter deals with how do you deal with setbacks, or how do you do startups, or how do you deal with the media, or how do you reinvent yourself regardless of your age or what you're doing in life. So for me, it was much harder than I thought it would be, but hopefully it's a foundation that many people who read it will look at it not as a one-time read, but something they go back to again and again in terms of how do you deal with various issues you're going to face in business and in life.
Yeah, the title is Connecting the Dots, and
Yes.
you mentioned that connecting everything that matters in life. So if you can just elaborate for a minute.
Sure, because if you think about it, we're moving to the point where 500 billion devices get connected in the world, and you've got to get the right information, right time, to the right person to make the right decision. But what connecting the dots really means, I'm a pattern recognition person. I have lots of weaknesses, and we can talk about that another time. But the ability to see patterns develop, and then to be able to bring that to the benefit of a company, a country, or the world is what I'm trying to do in my next chapter. I had the unique opportunity at Cisco to change the way the world works, lives, learns, and plays, and to play a key role in that. I hope that I have the same opportunity in this new digital startup world to be able to show people how do you connect the dots, how do you do your data analysis, how do you bring this to every aspect in life. And you don't have to be excited about business or computers to learn from this. It's basically, I think, what all of us will be doing the rest of our life.
You have been an early proponent of India's success.
Yes.
India's emergence as a youth power, and obviously heading Cisco, there are so many contributions from so many Indians in the company. Where do you see India in the next decade? Because like I said.
Yes. When I think about India's future, first it starts with, I think the most important strategic relationship between the two countries in the world needs to be between the U.S. and India, the world's largest democracy and the world's oldest democracy. By working together, we can get the benefits to all of our citizens, the 1.3 billion people in India and the 350 million plus that are in the U.S. And if groups like U.S.-India Strategic Partnership Forum can help bring that together, which I'm the chairman of, and I think we can, you can make a huge difference. So where do I see it going? I think India has an unbelievably bright future. I think it will be the fastest growing economy in the world, not at 7% per year, but potentially at 10 or above. That means you're doubling the per capita income every decade. I see India going about it the right way to make it inclusive across all the states and the companies. And I see what business groups that used to be about trade are now saying, how do we bring the benefits of this to all society, which, by the way, also is just good for business.
Yeah. And finally, you mentioned USISPF. It's a great organization, great effort. So a little bit, if you can elaborate on that and the work that it's doing.
Sure. What's interesting, it's a new startup. And Henry Kissinger has been a good friend for many years, and he started the business councils between the U.S. and India. But he would be the first to say it hadn't really changed a lot over the 40 years. And what we're doing with U.S.-India Strategic Partnership Forum, with Mukesh and Gaurav and Nivi leading it for us, and I'm honored to be the chairman, it's really about how do you bring these benefits to all of society. How do you use businesses working with government, working with the citizens, to really focus on both the opportunities and the challenge you face. And no one group can do it by itself. Government can't do it without businesses. Businesses can't do it without the citizens. But working together for what I think will be the model of relationships between the business communities, governments, and the citizens, if we do our job right. So I think we're going to change the world. And I think, looking back 10 years from now, the U.S.-India Strategic Partnership Forum and our members, will earn the trust of both countries, the governments of both countries, and be the model for how other countries and other business groups think about working together.
Thank you. That's a great hope, and you're one of the finest leaders to have with us.
You're
And
very kind.
appreciate your time once again. Thank you so much, John.
Honor. Thank you.